Hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today, gonna do the what's next on former undefeated and former two-time super middleweight champion of the world, David Benavidez, following his 7th round TKO victory over Kyrone Davis when they main evented a Showtime card on November 13th, I believe, in Benavidez's hometown of Phoenix, Arizona. You know, Benavidez, he came out and he threw the kitchen sink at Davis. He threw everything. He took some shots in return. Davis showed a lot of heart in that fight, but Benavidez was relentless, kept coming at him, kept landing a lot of shots, and in the 7th round, the fight was finally waved off. I believe Davis's corner threw in the towel, and Benavidez wins and stays undefeated and continues to knock on the door of the WBC to fight for the title. Now, the WBC has not ordered Benavidez to fight Canelo Alvarez, and I doubt they do, and here's why. Canelo, now the undisputed champion, is moving up to cruiserweight, most likely in his next fight, to try to become the first Mexican to win championships in 5 different weight classes. So Canelo wants to accomplish that history and that feat. So I think the WBC is going to allow Canelo to hold on to his belt. Unless Canelo completely vacates all his belts, that's what the WBC, in my opinion, is going to do. So Benavidez is going to have to wait around for Canelo some more. So, you know, he's got a couple options. He could stay at 168, mandate the fight completely, or he could move up to 175 if he feels that Canelo's moving up to 175. Are moving back down to 175 after he fights at cruiserweight. But, you know, if I'm Benavidez, I just chase Canelo wherever he goes. I think he should stay at 168 to try to mandate the fight, just in case Canelo wants to come back down to 168. And after Canelo's next fight in May, Benavidez probably fights around the same time. You see what Canelo is planning on doing for September. It could be Benavidez. And then move up and down in weight depending on what happens. But let's run through Benavidez against the top 10 right now at super middleweight and see what's possible and what's next for David Benavidez, the undefeated former two-time super middleweight champion. So we start with the number 1 fighter at super middleweight, and that is Canelo Alvarez, the undisputed champion. Benavidez and Canelo aren't going to happen next. Maybe they happen sometime next year, second half of the year. But Canelo is focused on making some more history and winning a championship in his 5th weight class. So he doesn't seem interested in Benavidez right now. But we'll see, you know. But I don't think, especially with Canelo filing the paperwork with the WBC to move up and challenge Ilunga Makabu for the title at cruiserweight, I just highly doubt Canelo is going to fight Benavidez next. So I got Benavidez number 2 right now at super middleweight. Number 3 is Daniel Jacobs. I doubt it. You know, Jacobs would really have to want this fight bad. He's also been tied to moving up to light heavyweight himself to fight Joe Smith Jr. for the title next year, although that has not been confirmed at all. But I just doubt Benavidez. Jacobs wants to fight a guy like Benavidez with his style. Jacobs hasn't fought since a controversial split decision win over Gabriel Rosado last year, and I just don't see that as being his first fight back against Benavidez, so I don't think so. Number 4, Billy Joe Saunders, another one. I'd like to see the fight, but I don't think Billy Joe would take a fight against Benavidez in his first fight back from getting knocked out by Canelo in May. Just not seeing it. Number 5 is Caleb Plant. This is a fight that, you know, can be made because they're both at the PBC. A lot of shit was getting talked on both sides, but Caleb Plant made a lot of money for the fight with Canelo and got knocked out. And I just don't see him wanting to fight Benavidez in his first fight back, so I don't think so. Number 6 is Gabriel Rosado. Depending on where, you know, Rosado's been fighting with DAZN and Golden Boy. I don't think Golden Boy and PBC come together for the fight. Benavidez, for me, to fight Rosado after Rosado just lost at 160 to Munguia, it'd be a step back. What would be the point in that? If you're not going to accomplish mandating a fight or something like that, you know, just to get Rosado's name on your resume when he's coming off of a loss, I don't think that makes sense. You know, maybe Benavidez, the only thing that would make sense about it is go and knock Rosado out, you know, but I really don't see the point in fighting Rosado. Number 7 would be a rematch with Anthony Dirrell. Now, it's an easy fight to make with the PBC, so I think it is possible from that standpoint. If Dirrell wants to truly fight for a world title, he's going to have to go through the top guy. You know, Dirrell's been the WBC champion at 168 twice, so I'm sure the WBC would allow like a mandatory defense to get made or something of that, or they would allow like some kind of an eliminator. But, you know, if Dirrell wants to climb that ladder, he's going to have to go through somebody like Benavidez. He's either waiting out Benavidez moving up in weight, or he just flat out doesn't want to fight him. But this fight can be made in the first half of the year. I don't think Benavidez would completely shy away from it, you know, unless it were to hurt him to take on a guy like Dirrell. So I think it's possible. I'm leaning towards the less likely, but I still think it's possible. Okay, number 8 is Kyrone Davis. I still have him ranked at super middleweight. Well, Benavidez already beat Davis. There wouldn't be a point in fighting him again. Number 9 is John Ryder, the former world title challenger and interim champion. He fights for DAZN. He's trying to, for Eddie Hearn Matchroom and DAZN. He's trying to load himself up for a WBA title shot again. So I don't think DAZN and the PBC come together for this fight. And then finally, rounding out the top 10, you still got Lionel Thompson, which is an option for Benavidez. You know, he did beat Jose Ustadegui, the guy that Benavidez was supposed to fight, and that's a guy that Benavidez almost fought last year, was Thompson. So I wouldn't completely rule it out because he's with the PBC. But Thompson is a guy that can take shots. He used to fight. He fought most of his career at light heavyweight. And the guy can take shots, and he's got that kind of awkward style, so not sure it's the best matchup for Benavidez. So I'm going to lean towards the less likely. But other options are the guy who was supposed to fight, Jose Ustadegui. That might be a good option for him in the first half of the year. But even better, if he's trying to mandate the fight with Canelo, why not fight David Lemieux? David Lemieux is trying to get the WBC to order an interim title fight between himself and Benavidez. Lemieux wants to fight. He's a solid name who's a former champion at middleweight. I think that fight makes sense. You're talking about a straight slugfest right here. I think it makes a lot of sense if Benavidez is trying to force Canelo into the ring, because Lemieux's number 2 behind Benavidez in the WBC, and Lemieux wants to fight. So I think it's a good fight to make for Benavidez. He'd be a solid favorite coming in, and I think, to me, that's the fight he should take next. If it's not him, I'm going after Anthony Dirrell or Jose Ustadegui, Lionel Thompson as a reach opponent, and pretty much just take on the biggest name or whatever you're going to accomplish the most, like becoming an interim champion or something of that sort. So Benavidez, great fighter. We're going to see what he does next. But he needs to stay on Canelo's ass. Even if Canelo decides to go to light heavyweight after his next fight, then I think it's time for Benavidez to move up in weight. Because I don't think he's as effective anymore at super middleweight. I've been saying that. I think he's still winning the fights because he overmatches his opponents. But he's struggling to make the weight. You know, that's why he lost the title. And he doesn't have that explosion that he used to have to himself. You could tell the weight is bothering him, and he's always been a big super middleweight, and he's growing out of that weight class. So I think it's actually a good thing I think it's better. I think he has a better shot at Canelo if he were to fight him at 175. But we just got to wait and see what happens. But that's what's next on David Benavidez, the undefeated former 2-time super middleweight champion, following a solid 7th round TKO victory over Kyrone Davis. I hope you guys enjoyed it. True Boxing, you've been here with the truth.